If I were just getting into film, these are the 5 skills I would learn first and why. Whether you're a solo filmmaker or plan to be working with a team, having these fundamentals down will help provide a foundation for everything to come and just make you a better overall filmmaker, from shooting to directing to editing, it all. Number 1 is learning visual storytelling techniques. These are the building blocks of the visual language that you use to communicate with your audience. Knowing how and when to use them is the difference between shooting with just feeling and shooting with intention. The main elements of this include shot size, shot angle, camera movement, composition, focal lengths, and how to sequence them. I created a PDF that covers all of these basics. It's basically the tool and reference that I wish I had when I first got into filmmaking. If you want it, I have a free copy in the description below. Another aspect of visual storytelling is how to capture scenes. How are you going to make sure you're getting enough shots for every scene? The thing that I use the most for this is the 3x3 method. Basically breaks every scene down into 3 parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you have all aspects of the story: what happens before the main action, and then the ending, how it all wraps up. For each of those sections, you're going to capture a wide, a medium, and a tight. The wide are great for establishing the location and context between the main character and the environment. Mediums are where most of the action is going to take place. They're great for talking heads, just like this. And they're great at showing what's going on with giving a little bit more context of the environment. Tights or close-ups are great for showing textures, emotion, and the important details that really make a story come to life. The second skill is editing. This is where everything comes together. Even if you don't think you're going to be editing in the long run, it is a great skill to learn the fundamentals of filmmaking. Editing lets you review and see what actually works and what doesn't, whether or not the shot sequences that you're using work together, if you're using too many similar shots, or if you have holes in your filming that you need to figure out how to shoot better. Whether or not you're hiring this out or doing it yourself, knowing what goes into it will help you be a better director, shooter, editor, and overall storyteller. This is where the story comes together. One thing I do on a regular basis to get better at this is breaking down other people's videos that I find inspiring or think were really well done. So I'll go through, screenshot every single frame, lay them out in order, and see how they're sequencing everything to tell the story that they're trying to tell. It lets you see and learn the visual storytelling language firsthand. It's a great way to learn how to make the videos that you want to make. Create what you want to watch. If you know how the videos you like to watch are created, what sequences they use, what kind of shots they use, what angles, what camera movements, then you can start implementing that in your own video creation. Number 3 is storytelling. This is the heart of the films and content that you create. It gives meaning to the videos. The 3 aspects I would first focus on are making sure that there's a driving question, a reason for the video. So in this case, it is, what are the 5 fundamental skills that a new creator in 2025 should learn first? Making sure there's a basic storytelling structure. So is there a beginning, a middle, and an end? Another way to think about this is, what's the hook? What's going to bring people in and get them interested or get the point across of what the video is about? Introducing the problem. What is the conflict that needs to be resolved in the video? Are they going to finish climbing the mountain? What's the answer to said question? The solution, the payoff. What happens at the end? What is the result? What makes a good character? If you're trying to tell a story, what makes a good character? The 3 things that I look for are desire. What do they want and how bad do they want it? Conflict. What is stopping them from getting said outcome? And what makes them unique? What makes them an interesting character to watch? Are they doing something that nobody's done before? Maybe they have a perspective or a background that we haven't seen before. Or maybe just their unique combination of traits makes them a compelling character that we can relate to as viewers. Or maybe we can't relate to them and they're just super interesting. Number 4, lighting. This is what really makes your images come to life. Understanding the key principles behind lighting lets you understand how to modify it and adjust it to create what you want instead of just capturing what's there. Some of the key elements of light include direction. Where's the source coming from? What are the shadows doing? Where's the camera going to be placed in relation to the light source? Quality. Knowing the difference between hard and soft light and when to use each. Intensity and how that relates to contrast levels. What's the difference between the highest highlights and the darkest shadows? Color. understanding warm light versus cool light and how they interact, what your camera settings should be. The biggest thing with lighting is learning how to work with what you have. First things I would focus on are how to use natural light to your advantage, utilizing scrims, bounces, and negative fills, and then mastering a single light source. Anything at your disposal to modify the light to create what you want instead of just relying on what's already there. Number 5 is audio. People can deal with subpar visuals as long as audio is crisp. I am far from an expert on audio. I kind of just fumble my way through, but pretty much anything is going to be better than the natural audio in the cameras. Basically just leveling up the audio to not be using the in-camera mic. One tool that I've been using a lot of are these Hollyland Lark M2Ss. Not sponsored, by the way. I actually just switched over to using these from the DJI mics. These little microphones are super handy for interviews, for talking heads, for creating content because they're small. They kind of fit in. I'll show you the difference between what on-camera mic sounds like to this one, to this relatively affordable Rode pod mic. Leveling up the audio capture you have is huge in just making better talking head videos, capturing interviews. It also can give you much richer sound design and Foley if you just record audio at the spot instead of trying to find it online and piece it in later. Dialing in music. Music is what drives the emotional tone of your film. Having great visuals with the wrong music can completely change the vibe of what you're trying to tell and what you're trying to show. I like to find music that fits the mood or tone of the film rather than what I like to listen to personally in my day-to-day life. Figuring out how to use sound effects and sound design will also add another layer of depth to your films and just make them more rich and full. All of these are building blocks to help you create with intention, but none of it really matters if you don't get out and actually film. You learn by getting in the reps and not being scared to fail. The first videos you make are going to probably suck. It doesn't matter how much you learn, how much you try to cram into your brain. You're going to learn so much more by actually implementing what you're learning rather than just thinking about it and constantly consuming more learning. Learning without implementing isn't learning. It's just procrastination. So get out there and create. And if you want a copy of the Filmmaking Fundamentals PDF, there's a link in the description below.